One of the most basic things that a marketer does is campaigns, right? After all, marketing is all about campaigns. So what is a campaign and what's wrong with the campaign-based thinking? So a campaign usually is centered around a launch of a product or some event. It's transactional. It's something that peaks at a particular point in time. Say you're getting ready to launch a new product. You create a campaign that builds the momentum, builds the awareness and the interest in your product. And then it sort of dies out after the launch of the product. So this is something that I sometimes call launch and forget marketing. So here, another very important shift in modern marketing is to evolve from this launch and forget campaign-centric approach to an always-on conversation-centric approach. So the shift here is from campaigns to conversation, from launch and forget to always-on marketing. Now, why are campaigns wasteful? Why are campaigns less effective than the conversation approach? Very simply, you create a lot of momentum, you invest a lot of effort in energizing and making aware a group of your customers and around a particular product. And then all that energy and that momentum is lost until you come back with your next product. So there's a tremendous amount of wastage. Campaigns also tend to center around products and they tend to be less engaging. They don't build relationships and emotional connection as well as conversations can do. Finally, the problem with campaigns is that while campaigns go up and down, peaks and valleys, your customers are always connected. The conversation has to go on. You can't shut off your community when you're done with your product launch. You can't say, my Twitter is now closed, I'll see you in 3 years. So what is the concept of always-on marketing? The concept of always-on marketing is to engage with customers on an ongoing basis. It's data-driven, content-led marketing that is executed on an ongoing basis and is engages the customers as individuals based on what they care about. And it's delivered across multiple channels and devices in real time. So what does always-on marketing involve? It's not easy to do. Because if you think about being always on, if I put you on a podium and said you have to give a speech, but your speech has to continue forever, what are you going to say? Well, I'm going to run out of things to say. Therefore, you realize that when you want to shift to always-on marketing, it cannot rely just on products. It cannot rely just on product launches. You need to actually start thinking like a publishing company, like a magazine publisher, like a real-time newsroom. What this requires is a very deliberate thought process on content strategy, a content calendar, a content production process, a content dissemination process. You need to build a content engine that sources content from customers, sources content internally that you create, as well as sources content that you curate from third parties. So these are the three sources of content. All this content then needs to go into a content hub, a content repository. And this content hub needs to be intelligent because now you need to figure out which pieces of content you're going to now deliver through which channels to which customers at which point in time. So this whole content ingestion, processing, and distribution process is something you need to think about. It's very, very central to always-on marketing. So always-on marketing requires you to lead with content. It requires you to think about how you route messages to specific customers at specific points in time. And it actually is quite people-intensive. While it may not be as media-intensive, it's very people-intensive because you need staff. You need people who are going to man the different social media channels. People who are going to create content. People who are going to edit and curate content. So it really requires you to almost create a newsroom. It requires you to think like a publisher. And I believe that brands will really need to become publishers. They will need to create content that is massive quantities, but that is still useful, that's relevant, and that is created in different form factors to appeal to different audiences. So always-on marketing is a process that requires both content as well as automation, because you really need to think carefully about how you're going to automate, curate, and execute at scale. Now, what happens to product launches? What happens to campaigns within an always-on model? You can still embed product launches and campaigns within the conversation, but the conversation always goes on. You're always present, and you're always connected and always engaging with customers. So those are the principles and the ideas behind the shift from campaign-centric thinking to conversation-centric thinking, from a launch and forget model to a always-on marketing model.